How to make a time-lapse video. These are some things you will need in order to make a time-lapse video. A tripod is usually necessary for a time-lapse. You will also need a camera and a shutter release interval timer. Some cameras might be able to be programmed to take pictures on intervals, and if this is the case for your camera, then a shutter release interval timer is not necessary. Also, a power supply is optional, but I recommend it for long time lapses. Now, to record your time-lapse, set up your camera on the tripod so that it is pointing at and focused on what you want to make a time-lapse of. I recommend turning autofocus off, and if you are running on battery power, I also recommend turning image stabilization off. Also, if lighting conditions aren't going to change, you may want to manually set the exposure settings so that they don't change and cause flickering when the pictures are composed into a video. You can also set your camera to not display the picture after it is taken. For Nikon DSLRs, this can be done by turning image review off in the playback section of the menu. This will save battery life. Also, set your camera to a reasonable image size so that the files aren't too big. I am making a 1920 by 1080 size video, so I am using the smallest image size available on my Nikon D3100. Now attach your shutter release interval timer and pick an interval setting and start it. When you are done taking pictures, load them onto your computer. Create a project file for your pictures, and within it, create a folder named Full Size. Copy your pictures into this folder. Now create another folder named 1920 by 1080 or whatever dimension video file you are going to create, and copy the photos into this folder as well. Now in this folder, open the pictures in a picture editing software. I am going to use Microsoft Picture Manager. Now I am going to batch edit these photos. First I am going to crop them to a 16 by 9 aspect ratio. Once I have done that, I'm going to resize them so that they are 1920 by 1080 pixels. Now these pictures are ready to be turned into a video file. I'm going to use Adobe Premiere Elements 10 to turn them into a video file. First, I'm going to set the default still image duration to 1 frame, so that when I add the pictures, each picture is by default 1/25th of a second. So when I add a bunch of pictures, I will get 25 frames a second video. Now I'll import all the pictures and add them to the timeline. And now all that's left to do is render the video. And that is how I make a time-lapse video. Thank you for watching.